Well, greetings, YouTube. LMS Tactical here with another exciting high-speed video. Just kidding. I want to talk a little bit about the Elliot Rogers mass shooting out in California. I'm assuming that by now everybody is familiar with that. If not, you've been asleep, and you should Google it. Mass shooting in California, up near Santa Barbara. A little college area up there. Okay, so basically the rundown is you get this frail-looking, kind of socially awkward young guy, 22 years old, Elliot Rogers, who is not happy with his life, specifically with his lack of relationships with women, no sex, blah, 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 all the things that young guys want when they're in college and 22 years old. So he leaves like a video, like manifesto, I guess is what you would call it. He may have left a written one, I'm not sure, but I know he left some detailed YouTube videos out where he outlined his woes and ultimately made some very specific threats in terms of what he was going to do. And then a few hours later he went on a rampage and shot and killed, I think, 7 people and really fucked up everyone else's life, injured people, shot it out with the cops, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, not to minimize it, it was a fucking tragedy. But there's a couple of components to the story that I want to touch on. And let me preface it by saying that I'm in no way an expert, nor do I claim to have some supreme knowledge of any of the psychological issues that Elliot Roger was facing. I think it's Elliot Roger, not Rogers. But there's been enough time that's gone by. I mean, this happened, I don't know, a week ago, and enough time's gone by to where it's, the politics of it are starting to seep in, as they do anytime somebody uses a gun in a negative way. And already they're talking about, I've heard everything from white privilege, and Elliot Roger was half Chinese and half American. But just like Obama, who's half white, it's only the black part of him that is politically viable to be used as a weapon against logic by the left. Same goes with this dude. There's no benefit in mentioning the fact that he was half Asian. Some people always call me in the middle of these fucking videos, so I lost my train of thought. What were you talking about? Oh yeah, underwater basket weaving. No, so it's more useful for the left to point out the fact that to focus only on his whiteness, and they're throwing around terms like white pride, and it's turned into a misogynistic a subject of misogyny and white pride. Crazy white guys that hate women and fucking go on killing rampages. What a crock of shit. But not surprising. That's why I said I tweeted out today. I mean, liberalism is literally a sickness, and it's starting to fucking rain, man. God damn it. Oh, you're going swimming, so you're gonna get wet anyways. Talking to my dog. All right. Oh fuck! I just forgot. I haven't eaten breakfast. Oh, good thing I brought it with me. I'm a vegan. Okay, so go wait. I always wonder when I do this shit, am I gonna edit this out? Sometimes I don't. You need to know the real man. You know who I am. Okay, so I watched last night. I forced myself to watch, an entire hour of Elliot Roger videos because that's the kind of guy I am. I want to know what the fuck's going on. What can we learn from it? All right, clearly, this dude is a psychological disaster, or he was. I mean, and I think they've even talked about that in the news, that this guy was seeing a psychiatrist or whatever. And again, I don't know this to be fact, so don't sue me. But I will tell you that my opinion and I'm sure it's shared by professionals in this line, you know, in the psychological line of work. This guy was a clear-cut case of Asperger's disease. Now, don't feel bad if you don't know what that is. It wasn't long ago I used to think Asperger's was a guy with loose bowels and tight pants. But for those that don't know, Asperger's is a form of mental illness, and the symptoms, I mean, the guy is he's a textbook case of it. Socially awkward. You know, the way, I don't know if I encourage you to watch this guy's videos. You'll see that he speaks he's got an unusual tone in his speech. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like not a monologue, but very blah. That's the technical term. But, you know, he'll use like words that are, and this is an Asperger's symptom, is using words that are very proper use of words where maybe normal people in that given that same sentence wouldn't use them. You know, like he goes on and on about how magnificent, he uses that word a lot. You know, I don't know why women don't want to sleep with me. I mean, I'm a magnificent male. And yet they choose to go to bed with these brutes. You know, these are words that are indicators. So they're not even indicators with this guy. This guy is clearly fucked up, or was. But what I want to talk about is two things. Number one, listen, obviously these mass shootings don't help the gun rights people like myself, because you got all these idiots that want to blame the gun and not the mental illness. And, you know, here's a guy that literally should have been in some kind of fucking institution, in my opinion. So that really, it becomes incumbent upon us, people that are watching YouTube, and I know you watch YouTube because you're hearing me. If you've got somebody and that you're subscribed to, or you come across a fucking YouTube video where a guy is talking about, I'm going to make people pay. This is what he said. You know, you're going to pay for this. You know, you beautiful blonde white chicks that won't give me any attention. I'm going to go to the sorority house and I'm going to, you know, eliminate everybody in there. I'm going to massacre. I mean, this guy was clearly laying out his plans for destruction and murder. You know, we got to get past this whole thing about I'm not a snitch. You know, we have an obligation. Those people that got killed and hurt were innocent people, and this fuckstick destroyed a lot of lives. And, you know, my heart goes out to their friends and family. I mean, I can't even imagine suffering a loss like that. Young college girls, and it doesn't matter how young, but the fact that these people were so young, starting out their life, and they get slaughtered by some fucking dude that should have been in a rubber room. So when we see shit like that, we got to call the authorities. Now, I know the police responded to this dude, and a lot of people want to blame the cops that showed up. And I'm not just defending cops because I was one. In this case, you know, a lot of people are saying, hey, the police went out there, you know, the parents called the police, and they went and did a check on him and determined that he was okay and no threat. Look, man, the laws are the cops have to stay within the bounds of the law. And I can only speak for California law, which makes it very clear that in the cases of mental illness, you know, the officers have to be able to see something that indicates that they are a reasonable threat to other people, to themselves or other people. And, you know, this guy was a very nice guy, and he talked politely, and he didn't say, hey, I'm going to go kill a bunch of people. He gave all the right answers, and the cops, you know, would have been sued off out of their lives, would have been destroyed in lawsuits if they would have hooked this guy up. You know, in hindsight, which is 2020, I bet you I would hate to be those officers that went out there. They're going to have to live the rest of their lives second-guessing themselves. And I can tell you from experience, when people die, you second-guess yourself for the rest of your life. And those poor guys are going to be thinking, geez, maybe I should have, you know, had a psychiatrist come out. You can't do that on every call, or you'd have to take a psychiatrist with you in the police car. And cops are not psychiatrists or psychologists. So they're limited by what they can do because they got to stay within the bounds of the law. So I do not hold these cops accountable at all. And anybody that does is just fucking ignorant. So, in the meantime, it's up to us. You know, if somebody would have called the police and said, hey, this dude's got a fucking video where he's talking about slaughtering people, then it might be a different story. Then they could go in there and say, hey, man, let's run him, see if he has any guns registered to him, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think he said that if the cops would have searched my house, the whole plan would have been over. Well, you know, we can't just search every fucking house that we'd like to. It's not the fucking Gestapo yet. It's starting to be like that, though. Anyways, the other thing is, what a great argument for concealed carry. Now, California is a state where it's almost impossible to get a concealed carry permit. But I offer that if one of us concealed weapons holders was in the area when he was driving through the fucking town there mowing people down, you know, he killed some poor guy in a deli and people were scurrying for their lives and bleeding to death, and all it takes is one person with a weapon that's sane and sound with a weapon and understands how to use it safely, and you know, maybe there would have been 1 or 2 people killed instead of fucking 7. And let's not forget the fact that I think 2 or 3 of the people he killed was with a knife, you know. So this is not obviously you and I know this is not a gun issue. This is a fucking mental health issue. But as long as there's mentally fucking ill people roaming the earth, which will be forever, they'll find a way to fucking slaughter people. You know, he could have just as easy went on a stabbing rampage like that other guy in the school did. So I'm not gonna waste too much time on that. People that are halfway fucking awake understand the need to be able to fucking exercise our constitutional right, Second Amendment. The bottom line is, if that would have happened here in Virginia where I am, the chances are that every fucking third person he passed would have been packing a fucking gun. And somebody would have put him down like the fucking nutcase he is or was. Fortunately, I think he killed himself, but not before fucking everybody's life up and stealing lives. So, in summary, let's pay attention to what we see on YouTube. If we see don't be afraid to call the police, okay? You're not a snitch. You're talking about, this could be your sister or your mother or your brother out there getting slaughtered by one of these fuckers. And if you got some guy on the internet talking shit about fucking whacking people, you owe it to the rest of the fucking world to put a call in. Let the police fucking blow it off if that's what they're gonna do, but at least you can sleep at night knowing that you tried. You know, so, you know, there's a lot of fucking shit on YouTube. And I'm obviously a big fan of YouTube. But god damn it, man. You know, when we see red flags, we gotta fucking do something about it. It's like driving by and you see a fucking car accident and people laying on the street. You don't just drive by and hope the next guy, he'll handle it. You stop and get the fuck involved, because we're all in this shit together. So carry a weapon if you're legally able to and allowed to and are so inclined and your state allows it. And fucking stay alert, man. It's not every man for himself. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other. That's my rant on the Elliot Rodger mass murder. What do you guys think? LMS Tactical out.